In this video, I'm going to talk you through the bike and equipment that I've chosen to use for a rather epic 290 kilometre long gravel route with 5,500 metres of climbing. Let me know at the end whether you agree with what I've spec'd. Let's start with the bike, shall we? So if you've seen the main feature over on GCN, you'll know I had the choice of an Orbea Terra or an Orbea Terra Race, both of which were new for 2025. Now, I chose ultimately the Terra because it's just a little bit more comfortable, mainly in the position. So it's a bit less aggressive than the Terra Race, a bit higher at the front. And also it's got onboard storage, which normally isn't a thing for me, but on a ride of this length, kind of super useful, it's got to be said. Now, the bike can fit 50mm tyres in, but I haven't gone for the full 50s. I've gone for 45s in there. You can see that I've got the Pirelli Cinturato RC up front, so that's like a lightly treaded gravel tyre. And then I've gone for the H at the back, which is pretty much a slick gravel tyre. Now, the reason is that the slick rolls a little bit quicker. If bicyclerollingresistance.com is to be believed, it's 3 watts more efficient than the RC up front. But when you're riding unfamiliar terrain and when you're absolutely knackered, I think having just a little bit more grip up front is kind of useful, just so that you can bank it into corners without worrying about it washing out. And so that is why I've gone for a little bit more grip at the front and a little bit more slip at the back. If nothing else, it's just cool drifting around corners, isn't it? So anyway, that's why I've gone for those. You'll also see those tyres are fitted to some exceptionally bling Princeton Carbonworks wheels. So these are the grit gravel specific wheels. I mean, they're just things of beauty, aren't they? 25mm internally, so the tyres fit perfectly on them. Now, I've also actually got inserts in there. So I wouldn't normally run them, but again, riding pretty rocky trails, blind, it's useful to have that. And GCN's Ace Mechanics swore to me that if I got a flat, I could still get the tyre off, because there is a little bit of a worry with some inserts that it keeps the tyre locked on. But anyway, these ones apparently no such problem. What's in there, I don't actually know, because they fitted them. Isn't that awful? But anyway, I've got inserts in there. Groupset, as you can see, is SRAM Explore. Now, the bike came with the brand new Force Explore Groupset on here, which is, as you'll see, the one with a direct mount rear derailleur, 1046, 13 speed. The crankset, though, I've swapped out because we had a spare red chainset lying around with a power meter. It also had a slightly larger chainring, which I wanted, given that there's quite a lot of fast road riding on the route. So it's got a 42-tooth chainring. There were 1 or 2 moments where I probably would have benefited from having a slightly smaller front chainring, not going to lie, but it was fine. I got up everything. It's all good. The one bit of Groupset mixing and matching I think you're allowed to do, by the way, is with pedals. So I've got Shimano XTR pedals fitted to this, like I have all of my off-road bikes. Up front, the new levers have been a bit of a game changer, both the ergonomics, which is super comfy, the brakes as well, which are insanely good on this new stuff, particularly the fact that you can brake very comfortably with one finger. That's nice on an hour-long ride. It's really flipping nice on a 15-hour-long ride. But also the new Force gets the bonus buttons that SRAM's top-tier Groupset Red gets. On the right-hand shifter, I've got the bonus button set up to mean that I can shift both up and down the cassette with one hand, okay? So normally with SRAM ETAP, you shift with one hand to go up the cassette and one hand to go down the cassette. But when you're doing longer rides, you spend a lot of time eating, and at that point, you kind of want to be able to shift both up and down with one hand that's still on the handlebars. And also, vlogging, quite time consuming. You don't want to get stuck in the wrong gear when vlogging. So that bonus button actually was very well used. On the other side, the bonus button is connected up to my Wahoo, so I was able to scroll through screens without taking my hands off the bars. Again, it's one of those things where I wouldn't really notice it on an hour-long ride or a 2-hour-long ride. But after 15 hours, not having to take your hands off the bars to press buttons on your head unit, is absolutely wicked. I've got a bomb-proof aluminium K-edge mount on here because it does the very important job of holding my camera, which got used a lot. So this is an Insta360 Ace Pro 2, and it's got this genius little quick release on here that allows me to basically film onboard footage and also talk to you guys, and I don't have to stop, which is amazing. I had a 512 gig memory card in there. So that is a lot of footage, and I also had 2 spare batteries, and that was more than enough. And then on top, I mean, of critical importance, and I mean that in the sense that you literally couldn't do a ride like this without a head unit. I've got my Wahoo ELEMNT Roam. Now, I didn't go for the bigger Ace model, in spite of the fact that navigation is critically important on here. I felt like the slightly smaller Roam would suffice, and it did, absolutely. In previous epic rides, I've always needed to top up the battery just in case, when we're talking like 15, 16 hours. And so I had brought a charger cable with this one, but the new model, the battery is insane. So even after 15 hours of riding, I still had 50% left, which is bonkers. And what it means is that if I ever do something like this again, and it is a big if, I won't have a top tube bag anymore, because the reason that was on is that I could charge the head unit whilst it was still attached to my handlebars. Top tube bags are great, but I'm not going to lie, I don't love them. The main reason that all of the stuff that I put in there was quite hard, and there would be a tendency for it to rattle around. So to solve this situation, I put an old sock in the bottom. Now, I think I probably could have done better than an old sock, if I'm honest, but it was something that I thought about at 10 o'clock the night before I started. Now, in there, I had my phone, which I didn't actually really need at all because I was vlogging on the camera, the head unit did everything, but, you know, it's 2025, right? You can't be separated from your phone. This was my battery pack, which I needed to top up the phone. To be fair, actually, I needed to top it up because I was running Strava Beacon so that people knew where I was. But yeah, so my phone battery needed topping up, but the Wahoo didn't. I also kept close at hand a Topeak tubey cartridge. So this is a tubeless plug kit. So you need that close at hand if you do get a flat, but that was not needed. Also in there, I had my spare Insta batteries, and then another thing that I wanted close at hand was a Topeak multi-tools. This is the Nano 11, so it's got all the Allen keys you need and all the Torx keys that you need as well. And then otherwise, that was that in there. The rest of the tools and spares that I needed, I had in the Downtube here. So 2 tubes and a mini pump in there. So you might be thinking, well, if I've got everything covered with a top tube bag and also the onboard storage, what on earth was in my Camelbak Chase vest? And the answer is all the food, tons and tons of it. So there's a 2-litre bladder in here, and I had that set up with just electrolyte tablets. So I had 2 1,000 milligram tabs in there. Was it 4? 4 1,000 milligram tabs in there. We were blessed with the weather that day, so all I took as spare clothing was a pair of arm warmers and then a waterproof jacket, both of which were super light. I did actually have a pair of mitts stuffed in there. Now, I don't normally use gloves when I'm riding, but that was just in case I started to get like numb hands. And then, yeah, what about that food? Well, I took an absolute truckload of Precision Fuel and Hydration energy gels. So I was using the 90-gram gels, my idea being that I would neck 1 an hour, and that was enough to sustain me. I also started out with energy drink as well, so the Precision Fuel and Hydration energy drink in my bottles. And I couldn't quite take enough for the whole 15 hours. So I had 9 hours worth, and then I topped it up with a couple of bits and pieces that I bought en route, a bag of peanuts, a bag of salt and vinegar crisps, and also some flapjack as well. So I needed a little bit of solid food in there to get me round. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, that's quite a lot of weight when you're setting out. So yeah, how many was it? 9 90-gram energy gels. Pretty chunky. I also had some chews as well. Now, having that extra 2 litres of water was brilliant, actually, because it meant that I didn't have to stop anywhere near as much. In fact, it could have been a 2-stop strategy. I went for a 3-stop, but mainly because I needed a rest at the end. And whilst some people, I think, don't particularly like having rucksacks when they're riding, I'm absolutely fine with it. I find it really comfortable. And actually, I would rather the weight was on me than on my bike. So yeah, this will be a piece of kit that I use time and again. Final few points to note then. I've got a very tried and trusted Selle San Marco Aspide saddle on there. It's a Shortfit one, supremely important, but fortunately not something that I ever need to think about when I'm riding. So that's that taken care of. Some of you might be interested to see that I've got a Wahoo radar system on here. Now, it was so quiet where I was riding that I didn't actually have it switched on. I mainly brought it in case the ride went on into the night. So that was my rear light more than the radar system. And then finally, some dimensions for you. So if you're interested, I've got a 110 stem on here, which is relatively long for a gravel bike, but I quite like having a little bit more weight over the front end. I mean, it also fits me, which is the most important thing, but I quite like the way a bike handles with a slightly longer stem. Just call me old school, that's fine. And I'm also running slightly wider handlebars as well than you trendy narrow handlebar types. So these are 42 centimeters wide, a little bit of flare on, but not much, because I'm not a massive fan of flared handlebars either. Again, I know I'm old school or old, whichever way you want to look at it. But no, I find, for me, for gravel, slightly wider handlebar, but not too flared. Thank you very much. So these OC ones from Orbea, absolutely mint. Right then, as I said at the start, I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on my setup. Would you have done anything differently? Maybe mark it out of 10. Give me that. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you haven't seen the main GCM feature, then you will, of course, need to watch that in order to know exactly what I went through to get here. But yeah, otherwise, give the video a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. I would say see you on the next one, but I'm definitely not doing one of those again.